So in 2014, I started a business competing directly against multi-billion-dollar corporations with thousands of employees. Within 18 months, we were outperforming them in our specific market segment and ultimately got acquired. How? Not by trying to beat them at their own game, but by mastering what I call micro-niche domination. So today I'm going to show you exactly how to identify, enter, and dominate a micro-niche, even when massive competitors seem to have the market locked up. Most entrepreneurs make a critical mistake when entering competitive markets. They try to compete head-on with established players, offering essentially the same service but promising to do it better somehow. This approach almost always fails. You can't outspend giants, you can't outmarket them, and you certainly can't outmuscle them. But here's what most people miss. You don't have to. The secret to competing against giants isn't trying to beat them at everything. It's becoming unbeatable at something specific. Something so focused and specialized that the giants can't or won't dedicate the resources to compete with you there. So this strategy works across virtually every industry, from technology to hospitality, from healthcare to financial services. I've helped dozens of entrepreneurs identify and dominate micro niches in markets they initially thought were impenetrable. So how do you find your perfect micro niche? I use what I call the 4 circles framework, and a micro niche should sit at their intersection. Circle 1. Interest. This is about finding a space you're genuinely interested in or passionate about. While passion alone isn't enough, having genuine interest in your micro niche gives you a sustainable advantage because you'll naturally want to learn more about it and serve it better. For example, if you've always been fascinated by how small retail businesses operate, that interest will fuel your ability to serve them better than someone who's just in it for profit. Circle number 2, expertise and experience. So this circle represents any specialized knowledge or experience you already have. While this isn't mandatory, you can always learn, of course, having some foundation gives you a head start. Maybe you worked in a particular industry for years, or perhaps you have specialized education or training, and these experiences give you insights that others would take years to develop. Circle number 3, momentum or pain. So this one is non-negotiable. Your micro niche must be experiencing both growth, or in other words, momentum, and significant challenges, or in other words, pain. Where is investment flowing? What sectors are expanding? And within those sectors, where are businesses struggling to solve specific problems? This is where many entrepreneurs go wrong. They choose stagnant niches or niches without acute pain points. Without momentum and pain, even the most perfect micro niche won't generate substantial revenue. Circle number 4, solution delivery strategy. This final circle represents your ability to consistently deliver solutions to this micro niche. Can you repeatedly solve their problems in a way that's profitable for you and valuable for them? For some micro niches, the solution might be a specialized service. For others, it might be a tailored product. The key is that you can deliver it consistently and at scale, even if at scale just means serving dozens and not thousands. Now you might be thinking, but what if I don't have all 4 circles figured out yet? And that's completely normal. Most successful entrepreneurs start with just 2 or 3 circles and develop the others as they go. The key is understanding which circles are non-negotiable. So in my experience, circles 3 and 4 are absolute requirements. You must have a market with momentum and pain, and you must have a viable strategy to deliver solutions. Circles 1 and 2 make success more likely, but you can develop them over time. So let me show you a real example of how this works. So when I started my agency, I was competing against staffing giants with billions in revenue and thousands of recruiters. Trying to compete with them broadly would have been suicide. So instead, I identified a micro niche, which was architectural building companies specializing in glass wall and building envelope, basically the exterior of commercial high-rise developments. So let me walk you through how this hit all 4 circles. Interest. I found the architectural and construction space fascinating. The tangible nature of seeing buildings rise and knowing I played a small role in making that happen was deeply satisfying. Expertise. I had no direct experience in this industry, but I had transferable skills in understanding technical requirements and communicating with specialized professionals. When it comes to momentum and pain, this sub-industry was experiencing massive growth with commercial construction booming in my region, and the pain point was acute. These companies couldn't find people with specialized experience, and they were hemorrhaging money on unfilled positions. Solution delivery strategy. So I could consistently connect with passive talent through targeted outreach and industry networking, something the giants weren't doing effectively in this specific sub-industry. And here's the fascinating part. Within this micro niche, I wasn't competing with recruiting giants anymore. I was competing with no one, because no other recruiter had bothered to focus exclusively on this tiny segment of the market. But here's where it gets really interesting, and most entrepreneurs miss this completely. The key to my success wasn't actually finding candidates with the exact experience these companies wanted. In the entire time I operated in this space, I probably only found about a couple handfuls of people that had meaningful prior experience in the industry that I was servicing. So what did I do? I completely changed the game. Instead of trying to find the impossible candidates that my clients thought they wanted, I became their greatest market expert, and I helped them understand what talent was actually available and how they needed to adapt their requirements to market reality. This is the micro niche mindset shift. Once you dominate a micro niche, you don't just serve it, you define it. So I wasn't just a service provider. I became the authority on talent acquisition in this specific sub-industry. My clients depended on me for information about the market that they couldn't get anywhere else. So let me give you a specific example. One of the largest building envelope companies in the world became my client. And initially they wanted me to find people with specialized industry experience. When I explained that these candidates were extremely rare, they said something fascinating. They said, okay, well, I guess we won't be able to use you for specialized talent. We'll have to use you for unspecialized talent. And that was the turning point. That account became my biggest source of revenue. Why? Because I had positioned myself as the go-to expert in their micro niche. I wasn't just another service provider. I was their trusted advisor with unique expertise. This illustrates a counterintuitive truth about micro niche domination. The smaller and more focused your niche, the more authority and leverage you gain. When you focus on serving everyone, you're competing with everyone. When you focus on serving a specific micro niche better than anyone else possibly could, you create your own category where you're the only logical choice. So how do you identify your own micro niche? Here's the step-by-step process I've used with dozens of entrepreneurs. Step 1, start with a broad industry you're interested in or have experience with. This could be healthcare, technology, finance, education, whatever aligns with circles number 1 and 2. Step 2, look for sub-industries within that space. For example, within healthcare, sub-industries might include hospitals, medical devices, pharmaceutical, telemedicine, etc. Step 3, narrow down to specific business types within those sub-industries. So within medical devices, for instance, you might focus on diagnostic equipment manufacturers, surgical tool makers, or medical wearable companies. Step 4, identify specific pain points that these businesses face. These could be regulatory challenges, talent shortages, supply chain issues, customer acquisition problems, etc. Step 5, align these pain points with your potential solution. So where do your skills, interests, and delivery strategy intersect with their most acute needs. Here's a practical way to test whether you found a viable micro niche. Count how many companies fit your definition. If there are fewer than 20, your niche might be too small to support a business. If there are more than 500, you probably have it niched down quite enough. The sweet spot is typically between 50 and 200 potential clients. This gives you enough market to build a thriving business while still allowing you to become the dominant specialist in that space. Let me show you some practical tools to help you research potential micro niches. LinkedIn Sales Navigator. Use the industry and company size filters to identify groups of companies that might form a micro niche. Google Maps. Search for specific business types in geographic areas to identify clusters of potential clients. Number 3 is industry association directories. So these often list companies by specific subcategories, giving you ready-made micro niche definitions. Job boards. So look for patterns in hiring needs across specific types of companies to identify pain points. Once you've identified a promising micro niche, how do you enter it effectively? So this is where most entrepreneurs go wrong. They try to serve their micro niche without first establishing themselves as specialists. So here's my 4-step micro niche entry strategy. Step 1, deep research. So before approaching a single client, become an expert in your micro niche's challenges, the terminology, and the trends. Read industry publications, join relevant groups, follow thought leaders, and analyze successful companies in the space. Your goal is to understand their world so thoroughly that you can speak their language fluently. And this alone will set you apart from generalists who are clearly just trying to sell something. Step 2 is strategic positioning. So position yourself explicitly as a specialist in this micro niche. So your website, LinkedIn profile, and all marketing materials should clearly communicate that you focus exclusively on this specific segment. Avoid the temptation to hedge your bets by keeping your positioning broad. The more specialized you appear, the more credible you'll be to your target clients. Step 3, value first outreach. So when you reach out to potential clients, lead with insights specific to their micro niche. Don't talk about your services initially. Just demonstrate your expertise by sharing observations or ideas that prove you understand their world. For example, you might say, I noticed that companies in the commercial glass wall space are struggling with X challenge. I recently helped another firm address this by doing Y and thought this perspective might be valuable for you. Step 4, consultative approach. When you get meetings, position yourself as a consultant rather than a vendor. So ask insightful questions about their challenges, educate them about market realities they might not be aware of, and focus on understanding their situation before suggesting solutions. This consultative approach is especially powerful in micro niches because clients often haven't experienced it before. Most vendors try to sell to them immediately rather than truly understanding their unique needs. Now, once you've successfully entered a micro niche, how do you achieve true domination? So this involves 3 key strategies. So strategy 1 is become the definitive expert, create content specifically for your micro niche. This could be articles, videos, podcasts, or research reports that address their unique challenges. The goal is to become the go-to resource for information in this space. What makes this powerful is that you don't need a huge audience. If your content reaches even 50% of the decision makers in your micro niche, you've achieved massive market penetration. Strategy 2 is to build a community. Connect people within your micro niche with each other. Host events, create discussion groups, or facilitate introductions between complementary businesses. This positions you at the center of your micro niche's ecosystem. The benefit here is that you become not just a service provider, but a valuable connector who helps clients in ways beyond your core offering. Strategy 3 is to expand your authority. So once you've established dominance in your micro niche, you can expand your authority by speaking at industry events, getting published in trade publications, or partnering with adjacent service providers. This authority expansion creates a virtuous cycle. The more visible you are as the expert in your micro niche, the more clients seek you out, which further enhances your expertise and authority. Here's something fascinating I've observed across dozens of businesses. When you achieve the micro niche domination, something remarkable happens. Clients stop comparison shopping. They stop negotiating on price. They stop treating you like a vendor. Instead, they come to you already pre-sold on working with you. The sales cycle shortens dramatically. The close rate skyrockets, and your profit margins, of course, increase because you're no longer competing on price. You're being sought out for your unique expertise. The final stage of micro niche domination is perhaps the most surprising. So once you've thoroughly dominated one micro niche, you can use it as a foundation to expand. You have three primary expansion paths. Path 1, vertical expansion, add more services for the same micro niche. Once you've solved one problem exceptionally well, clients will trust you to solve adjacent problems. Path 2, horizontal expansion, so take the same service to a related micro niche. Your expertise often transfers to adjacent markets with similar characteristics. Path 3 is replication. Apply the same micro niche domination strategy to an entirely different market, and once you've mastered the process, you can repeat it across multiple business lines. The beauty of micro niche domination is that it works regardless of your starting point or the size of your competitors. By focusing intensely on a specific segment that's too small for giants to care about, but large enough to support a thriving business, you create your own playing field where you make the rules. So remember the 4 circles: interest, expertise, momentum, pain, and solution delivery strategy. Find the intersection and you've found your path to success. Instead of trying to compete with everyone at everything, become unbeatable at something specific. That's how David defeats Goliath in today's business landscape. If you found this valuable, hit subscribe for more advanced business strategies and drop a comment letting me know what potential micro niches you're considering. I read them all and I might address your situation in a future video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.